Hello team and welcome back to another Line Warcast. This is your map today in a 2v2 between Snow and Tomahawk. And on Bravo team, Flying Luigi and Pug. So Snow's in blue, Tomahawk is in red, Flying Luigi is in orange, and Pug is in teal. Being played on seed 491,993? Yeah, 3, that's a 3. I thought it was maybe an 8. Anyway, we're hearing a lot of factories go down. This is Snow in the north of the teammate Tomahawk. Both players are going for very heavy energy openers. Tomahawk with these 2 airports and 3 factories all putting out tanks for Snow. And I realize we're not playing the Line War music, which is actually a super good soundtrack. Shouts out to Infenzia. And we'll see what the other 2 players are doing in a second. This is important. There it is. That was extremely important to get going here. And the other team, Bravo team, up in the northwest, I suppose. 2 factories and a 4 barracks for Flying Luigi in orange. 2 factories of barracks and 2 towns for Pug. So Pug going for a lot of eco. In general, Bravo team has more infantry going than Alpha team. But Alpha Team's army probably going to pack a bigger punch in a lot of ways. There's bombers for red, the first 2 being created right now, and there's 2 more factories for Tomahawk. And then, of course, these 3 factory tanks. 3 factories going tanks, I suppose, for blue. Can be very deadly. Snow's also got a refinery right beside this already existing refinery, this energy well. So blue isn't going to run out of energy anytime soon. And can continue to invest in tanks. There's an opportunity for blue to also eco, or like a gas share, energy share with Tomahawk to the south. And bombers are one of those things that if there's a critical mass and a player can get enough bombers, they can be very effective in a team game. The range is also very important for bombers. They can go super far. Like in this case, Tomahawk would be able to cover Snow's bombers up until about probably this point, a little bit into the forest. Luigi's already digging in. Snow can't see orange because of the forest concealment, but I am sure that Luigi would be able to see these blue units, and this is why orange is digging in like this. And Sam's all ready for Luigi. The first one's done, the second one just finished, and there's a third one on the way. The tanks for blue are going to go around the northern side of the forest. Snow starts to see that there are entrenchments in the tree line. I doubt that blue is going to try to push through this forest and probably elect to go around it, is what we are seeing here. And Pug does have a lot of economy, and over time teal's going to be able to help out a lot, but Luigi will have to hold off against blue for now. We see this airport. There's already some SAMs for Pug, who will probably be able to take the left-hand side of the map pretty uncontested. And the pacing of capping for red isn't going to be all that quick because there's not that many barracks for Tomahawk at the moment. These blue infantry just going for a little bit of a walk through this forest. That's a very tough place to be. And the 6 tanks for Snow are probably going to try to find a target, but you can see because of all the buildings being in the forest, blue doesn't know exactly where the producers are. Certainly blue has no idea that there are these 2 factories in this mountain range. And for now, Snow's content to just cap with the tanks, which is probably a very reasonable idea. Second refinery's on the way, and now Snow begins making the first round of SAMs. Unbeknownst to blue, there is no airport for orange. The airport for Alpha Team in general is starting to make helicopters, or Bravo Team rather in general is starting to make helicopters. The first one's on the way for Pug, which is a great name. It needs to be said. There's 3 bombers, nearly 4 bombers done for Tomahawk. And big question is, how many bombers is Tomahawk going to wait to build before launching them? And where will these bombers go? I wouldn't even be surprised if Tomahawk just builds bombers until they're absolutely necessary to show. It maybe build an airstrip at some point to move them closer to the action. Because although Luigi hasn't really taken much damage at this point, Blue is the one who's capping and taking the initiative to cap on the top right part of the map here. Best case scenario for Luigi is that these blue tanks probably try to jump on this, and then all the infantry can just collapse on them and fight very well in the forest. But instead, Snow, who sees the first barracks, is just going to go for a full surround. These artillery pieces that blue sees kind of gives it away that there has to be a producer somewhere around here in this location. It wouldn't really make sense for these artillery pieces to be moving this way if that wasn't the case. And I just thought there's a suggestion for different like drawing abilities in team games so that you can show your teammates and your allies what your intents are. That'd be super sweet if that was part of replays as well. Alright, so here we go. 6 tanks that have terrible vision, but cumulatively 6 tanks is enough to actually spot all of this. And Snow's just going to jet across and attack this barracks, which makes the most sense. It's not like the tanks, they probably could take these 2 factories out because of how slowly they will move in the mountains and how many units are here. The safer bet for blue is to just take out this barracks. Luigi's already canceled an infantry that was building here. And Luigi's also starting to counter push a little bit. Here come the bombers. It is 5 of them, more bombers on the way. And Pug's not even really close to making first contact with Tomahawk, who actually has a lot of units across this entire front. So that's a very scary army that Teal will have to deal with. Clearly, Orange has their hands full here, defending against the tanks. Blue will destroy 1 factory, probably will be able to destroy the 2nd factory if Blue decides to stay here. And that black plume of smoke that we see is the red bombers being out of energy. Helicopter for Pug is actually super clutch. There probably will be a 2nd one showing up relatively soon. Pug's actually made a 2nd airport as well. Has this first refinery and steadily capping the left-hand side. It's relatively even for both teams on how many territories they control. First refinery is finished for Tomahawk. 2nd one on the way. And my guess is that at some point we'll see a depot for Alpha Team somewhere in the middle so that there can be an energy transfer that goes on. But both players with 2 refineries, maybe it's not even necessary. General rule of thumb is you want a refinery per airport that you have. So Tomahawk has 2 airports, 2 refineries, so probably pretty decent. Bombers use more energy than other planes, which kind of throws the math off a little bit, but still it's possible. And then 2 refineries for 3 factories building tanks. Probably can support about 10 tanks moving around-ish. Not continuously, but in little missions. And good artillery piece from Pug. This is I think how artillery should is the word I guess I'll use. Should be used with like enough infantry in front of it to block. They supplement infantry very well if they're attacking other infantry pieces. And Tomahawk's going to screw this all up by sending bombers out. Which you don't often see in 1v1 play, I feel like, but in team games, it's more of a thing. And it's understandable why it is more of a thing. Interesting to see if Pug decides to start building strikers to help counteract this. One of the bombers does go down, so that's pretty good. And you'll notice that the SAMs, they don't use their machine guns, they only use the missiles against the bombers. Because the bombers fly too high for the machine gun of the SAM, which is actually what most of it does. Like, most of the DPS comes from the machine gun of the SAM. I feel like I've said that a gazillion times in these videos, but I always approach it as if somebody who's new to the game is watching this for the first time. Over time, these bombers are going to take out both the SAMs and reset this SAM count. And Snow definitely has enough SAMs at this point, and that's why we see Blue switching back to tank production. There are still remnants of infantry up here, but in general, Luigi has held off. this attack, and we'll be able to start capping again. There's these 4 infantry for blue at the very north of the map. And 3 SAMs against 1 helicopter. There's that machine gun. And those lovely ragdoll physics. And I think pretty soon Luigi's going to be in a situation where Orange is going to be able to push and move out of these defensive lines. There are only 4 producers for Orange, so it is pretty light. And that might factor into Luigi staying here a little bit longer, because things can change very quick if Snow were to direct all of the army at Orange's base. But you can see what Tomahawk's idea is. Just wide capture lines across the entire front, and so far Red looks to be winning this. And we don't often see this. I mean, I think the bombers are following this line. It must have been set up as a bomber and SAM command or something like that, because I mean, this is clearly a SAM. But the bombers are going along this line. I have no idea what I'm seeing, but it's kind of a cool idea, the bombers just patrolling the entire front and picking away at stuff. There's no real big grouping of SAMs per Bravo team that the bombers have to pay super close attention to. And I would check the ecos, but it's just too much to switch between the players. It's probably relatively even, I suppose. My guess is that Bravo team has a little bit more eco in total. And this is a barracks for Luigi, which is kind of nice in case Orange were to lose the entire base over here. Luigi wouldn't be knocked out of the game. I'm going to start building commandos to dig in here. And then potentially over time just use commandos to try to go towards Tomahawk's base, who has a 3rd airport. Still on these 2 refineries, no depot between Snow and Tomahawk yet. But that being said, energy consumption for Alpha Team seems fine at the moment. All 4 of these refineries are still full. This is a nice little army from Pug on the south. And in general, just a very interesting, very wide, like rather long front line in the south of the map. And Tomahawk, or rather Snow, is going for this surround of Luigi in the forest. I mean, as mentioned, it doesn't really make much sense for Blue to actually push into this forest, so taking all this territory and encircling Orange is probably a very good call. This is the move out, I think, that we were talking about. Pug and Luigi are going to send an army along the coast here. It will be relatively large, of infantry and artillery. And there's some artillery pieces for Blue being made. It's just a mix of SAMs, tanks, and artillery. And this is now an all-plane move. That line that was just removed and deleted by Tomahawk. Which I can only guess means that the bombers have somewhere they want to go. In particular. I think this is going to be a very big army. I think it already is. And this could do a bunch of damage. Just because the distance realistically from where this army is when it comes into vision like this to where Snow's base is, it's not actually that much ground. It's really only just 3 territories. This is going to move super quick. The bombers might even start getting used to the north here, depending on how serious of a threat Snow thinks that army is. Good thing for Snow though is this army is super strong. Right at the doorstep of Pug's base, there are no SAMs for Blue. There's a few that are almost here. But luckily for Snow, there's not that many planes for Pug, especially since one of the helicopters gets destroyed. This second helicopter should be able to take on this SAM. I'm lying, I'm trolling. It's not. Does this SAM shoot it once more, or no? I guess by this point it's already doing its landing animation and isn't going to get shot. This is Blue's vision. This is a lot of units. And Luigi's about to send 3 barracks and 3 factories worth into the mix. Interceptors now, which are realistically the best counter to bombers. They're kind of designed to take out bombers. The one problem about interceptors is if you let them go too far to chase the bombers, this can happen. I believe both of these interceptors will be shot down, and they are. Nice move from Snow to take out the airport, now targeting the factory. And then I assume these blue units will just start capping. Maybe they'll push towards Pug's base over here. Blue's vision, of course, sees this other airport. But more importantly, this push is going on. Kind of, I think, a little bit unexpected that Orange digs in here. Because the initiative, I believe, could be with Orange and Teal if they just push. Because this is like an absurd amount of units when it really comes down to it. And there's more in these defensive lines. Tanks in this situation probably do okay, but there's just so many Orange infantry. And there's artillery already in the back line that have all opened up. It's just a numbers game at this point, even though the tanks are super strong. And it's going to leave Snow with very little to defend. And that's why these bombers for Tomahawk go up to the north to try to chip away at this. Full dot of SAMs for Luigi. And I think over time the SAMs will be very effective. The bombers will proc to them and do most of their damage to the SAMs if they see them. And it's just like, on this first run maybe it wasn't so bad, but really 3 bombers go down, 2 bombers or something like that. So the next time that Red shows up with the bombers, it'll be a little bit less powerful. Tomahawk's still doing pretty well on this front. You can see, like, over the last few minutes, Red's made some gains here. And Snow in general getting a lot of value out of these infantry, taking out another airport. Does Pug have any more airports? I don't even think so. I think it's just this last one, which may also get sniped. You can see these haste moved infantry, so the blue infantry are actually taking damage as they sprint like this, but it's probably worth it if Snow can get here and destroy the airport. And it's nearly 3 airports full. I guess it's really only just 2 airports full of bombers for Tomahawk, who's staying on the bomber route. Has enough energy to use them. Building some eco is red. Building some eco is red. What a just gross sentence. But eco-wise, still probably assume that Bravo team has more, would be my guess. Even though blue, territory-wise, it's very close, I think, on the total number of territories. We can check this. Let's just check this. It's 580 income for blue, 860 for red, 630 for orange, and 1138 for teal. So it's really Pug's economy that's powering Bravo team. And there may be eco transfers going on. If you have bordering territories with an ally, you can send them money. I think we can actually see this. Maybe there is no trade. Yeah, there's no trade, so Pug is just cruising on this eco, building another factory in the south, and just building more producers. Now that these blue infantry have pretty much been cleared up, there's the final run towards the town, but they will not be able to destroy that town. Pug is confident about it, and that's why you see Teal put down that port. I don't know how these commandos were like stutter stepping and dancing together, but that was very cool. Very high level skill move from Orange to get the commandos to dance. And the commandos can really do anything here. If we look at Bravo Team's vision, they have all the vision because they're commandos. They got that good detection. They could click on one of the refineries. They could just try to take this fight straight up, although they'll get a tank maybe. If they could destroy both the tanks, then it would be even better, because then... I actually don't know what you should do with these commandos. There's such a huge army here for Orange and Teal that I don't think it matters what the commandos do necessarily. It matters what this army is about to do. No one has a rocket yet, which is notable. This group of SAMs for snow in the north are gonna have to pull back at some point because the power of 4 factories and 4 barracks for Pug is kicking in. And I think we're gonna very drastically see Alpha Team like switch to a defensive posture. Tomahawk's still doing decent in the bottom of the map. You can see just how far Tomahawk's been able to push. But a little bit at risk of being encircled if Teal decides to cut down to the south. Okay, this commando's just lying down. Okay, sweet. There you go. Commandos have to be the coolest unit in entrenchments because they lie down easily. This is a bomber command. Is this an engine of a plane or is this a cloud? Is that what this is? It's a cloud to mean all of the planes? I guess I've never even questioned what this is. This symbol. I thought it was an engine, but now that I look at it, I think it's a cloud. Did everyone else just notice that immediately? Potentially. There are no SAMs still here for Orange. There's the 4 ones in the forest. But with the number of bombers for Red, I don't think they can destroy all the stuff on the ground before Orange does devastating damage to Blue's base. Luckily for Tomahawk, I don't think any of the bombers have gone down yet. This one might, and it does. And that's a second bomber that goes down, maybe even a third. Never mind, I can take that many SAMs. So this one part of the army for Red is getting encircled a little bit. There's an infantry that's taking out one of Pug's refineries. I don't think that's a huge deal because Pug isn't really using energy units at this point. All the airports were destroyed by snow. And now Pug starting to push back in the south. And certainly Snow's in a lot of trouble. This is a lot of artillery. They're kind of bunching up. The ones in the back aren't really shooting, but with this many SAMs to defend against what is going to be about 2.5 airports full of bombers ish, I think Orange is going to be okay. I think there was a suggestion in the Discord about buildings that explode maybe should do damage to units around them, or like refineries should do damage to buildings around them when they're sniped. It's kind of an interesting idea. Or you know, when a bomber lands or crashes into the ground, it should do damage. So much potential. And now that Snow's out of the game, it becomes pretty much impossible for Tomahawk to win it. We see so often in lopsided team games where the number of players on each team is, you know, one team outnumbers the other. It's just very difficult to win just based on eco alone. I feel like this Orange Barracks has been making commandos, but I haven't seen any of the commandos besides those few that were in the defensive line. I guess there's 2 in the forest. But GG, well played. Great game. Let's see some graphs. I want to see the income graphs. And is this just Pug? Not just Pug, but like... I think the structures lost also includes when Snow leaves the game, kind of unfortunately, so you don't kind of get it skewed at the end, but either way, well played to all 4. And thanks for commenting on the videos, liking the videos, subbing, of course, all helps the channel grow. Appreciate the support. I hope you enjoyed this video. And still weekly Line Warcast uploads on Fridays. You know, have a wonderful night, evening, daytime maybe, whatever it is. Thank you very much. Enjoy. Peace.